All right, let me tell you something. You think you've heard crazy wedding stories? The runaway bride, the drunk best man, the mother-in-law who wears a white dress? That's amateur hour. That's Tuesday. What I'm about to tell you is the kind of story that makes people stop chewing their food at a restaurant. So, there we were. The music swells, the doors at the back of this ridiculously expensive chapel swing open, and in walks Sarah, my fiancée, my partner of 5 years. She looks like a literal angel. The dress, the veil, the whole 9 yards. 150 people are on their feet. My mom is already dabbing her eyes with a tissue, and I'm standing there at the altar, feeling like the luckiest guy on the planet. I mean, seriously, my heart was doing this drum solo against my ribs. She gets to the front, hands her bouquet to her sister, and takes my hands. They're trembling a little. So are mine. The officiant, a lovely old guy named Father Michael, starts his whole spiel. He's talking about love, trust, partnership, the foundation of marriage. Oh, the irony. It's so thick you could cut it with a wedding cake knife. We get through the vows we wrote for each other. I'm pouring my heart out, talking about honesty and our shared future. She's crying. I'm crying. Everyone's crying. It's a real Kleenex moment. Then, Father Michael beams at us and says the classic line, the one you only hear in movies. If anyone here has any reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace. The room is dead silent, just like it's supposed to be. A couple of people chuckle. It's a formality, right? A cute, old-fashioned tradition. Except I took a deep breath, squeezed Sarah's hands one last time, and gently let them go. I turned to Father Michael, and, loud enough for the back row to hear, I said, "Actually, I do." You could have heard a pin drop on the plush carpet. 150 heads snapped in my direction. Sarah's perfectly made-up face just froze. The smile melted off like ice cream on a hot sidewalk. Her eyes were wide with a confusion that was rapidly turning into panic. "I have a reason," I said, my voice steady, betraying the absolute earthquake happening inside my chest. "And it has everything to do with the secret, fully furnished nursery she's been building in our house for the last 6 months behind my back." Let me take you back to how this whole train wreck started. 5 years ago, I met Sarah. On our first date. No joke, we talked about kids. It wasn't planned, it just came up. I was 28, she was 27. We were at that age where it's a standard topic. I laid my cards on the table. I told her I had zero desire to be a father. It wasn't a maybe, it wasn't a we'll see. It was a hard, definite, capital and no. I love kids, I'm a great uncle, but I've never wanted my own. The noise, the expense, the complete and total sacrifice of your own life. It just wasn't for me. I was crystal clear about it. And you know what? Sarah's face lit up. She told me she felt the exact same way. She said it was a relief to meet a man who wasn't just trying to find a future mother for his children. She talked about her career goals, our future travels, a life filled with spontaneity and freedom. We were going to be the cool, child-free aunt and uncle who spoil our nieces and nephews, and then go home to a clean, quiet house. It wasn't just a preference. It became the cornerstone of our relationship. It was our thing. We high-fived over it. We toasted to it. We built a 5-year, loving relationship on that shared foundation. We moved in together after a year. We got a dog, a goofy golden retriever named Gus. We traveled. Life was perfect. Proposing to her on a black sand beach in Iceland felt like the most natural thing in the world. She said yes. We cried. It was perfect. The wedding planning started out fun, you know? Cake tasting, picking a venue. But then her mom, let's call her Brenda, started getting involved. Brenda is a sweet woman, but she has a one-track mind, and that track leads directly to Grandbabyville. The first little red flag popped up when we were looking at venues. We'd found a beautiful, historic hotel. Very classic, very adult. Brenda took one look at the brochure and said, "Oh, but where will the children play? Is there a room we can set up for them?" Sarah just laughed it off. "Mom, it's a child-free wedding. We've talked about this." Brenda waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, nonsense. People will bring their kids. You can't just tell people not to bring their family. We need a kids menu. And maybe a little play area." I looked at Sarah, expecting her to shut it down firmly. Instead, she just gave me this look, this just go with it look. "We'll think about it, Mom," she said. Later, when I brought it up, she said, "Look, it's easier to just nod and say yes. She'll forget about it. You know how she is." I didn't like it, but fine. I let it go. I didn't want to be the difficult son-in-law to be. Then came the wedding registry. We spent a weekend picking out stuff for our home. A new espresso machine, some fancy cookware, a robot vacuum. A week later, I get an email notification that new items have been added to our registry. I click the link. And what do I see? A high chair, a baby monitor, a diaper genie, and a silver rattle from Tiffany's. I was seeing red. I called Sarah immediately. Did you see what your mom did to the registry? There was a pause. Oh, that? Yeah, she called and told me. She thinks it's hilarious. Hilarious? Sarah, it's not hilarious. It's completely disrespectful. It completely undermines the one biggest rule we have in our life together. You're overreacting, she said, her voice getting defensive. It's just her way of joking. She's from a different generation. She's just excited about the wedding. Excited about what exactly? A future she's invented in her head? A future that we have explicitly said 1,000 times is not going to happen? We had our first real, ugly fight about it. It ended with her accusing me of being cruel to her mother and me feeling like I was taking crazy pills. I was the bad guy for wanting the life we both agreed we wanted. She eventually took the items off the registry, but she was cold to me for days. That hollow feeling started to set up camp in my gut. The next incident was at her bridal shower. I wasn't there, obviously, but I came to help pack up the gifts at the end. I was chatting with her cousin, Jessica, who I'd always liked. Jessica had had a few too many mimosas and was feeling chatty. I am just so happy for you guys, she slurred, patting my arm. And honestly, I'm so glad you finally came around. Sarah has wanted a baby since we were kids. We used to play house and she'd have, like, 6 dolls she'd pretend were her children. She's going to be the best mom. The air went out of my lungs. Came around? What are you talking about, Jessica? Her eyes widened, as if she realized she'd said too much. Oh, just came around to getting married. Settling down. It's great. She gave a clumsy laugh and quickly walked away to go find the bathroom. My blood ran cold. That night, I confronted Sarah. I was calm. I just said, "Hey, Jessica said something kind of weird today." She said she was glad I came around about having kids. Sarah's reaction was immediate and intense. She flew off the handle. Oh my God, are you serious? You're going to listen to my drunk cousin? Jessica is an idiot. She doesn't know anything. I can't believe you're bringing this up. It's not just that, Sarah. It's your mom with the registry, the venue. It feels like I'm the only one in this relationship who's serious about us being child-free. And then came the tears. The big, dramatic, sobbing tears. I can't believe you don't trust me, she wailed. After 5 years, you think I would lie to you about something this important? I love you. I love our life. Why are you trying to ruin this? She was a master. She twisted it so perfectly that by the end of our 2-hour talk, I was the one apologizing. I was the paranoid, untrusting jerk. I was the one creating drama before our wedding. I felt so guilty. I hugged her, told her I was sorry, and I buried the doubt. I buried it deep. But it was there, a little seed of poison waiting to sprout. The final straw, the one that broke the camel's back in my entire reality, came about 3 weeks before the wedding. We had a joint savings account where we were pooling money for the honeymoon. I was going over the statements, just making sure everything was in order, when I saw a series of very large charges. 4 of them, over the last few months, each for a couple $1,000s, all to a store I'd never heard of called Bella Bambino Boutique. I Googled it. It was a high-end, custom children's furniture store. Cribs, changing tables, rocking chairs that cost more than my first car. My heart hammered against my ribs. I felt dizzy. There had to be an explanation. Maybe she bought a gift for her sister's new baby, but 4 separate charges totaling almost $10,000? For a gift? No way. When she got home from work, I tried to be casual. Hey, honey, I was looking at the honeymoon account, and I saw some charges for a place called Bella Bambino. Just wanted to see what they were for so I can track the budget. Her face went pale. She immediately got defensive. Why are you snooping through our bank account? I'm not snooping, Sarah. It's a joint account for a shared goal. I'm just trying to keep track. What did you buy? It's a surprise, she snapped. For you. For the house. Just drop it. You're going to ruin it. The lie was so thin, so pathetic. My mind was racing. Where would she even put this stuff? We lived in a 2-bedroom house. My office, her office. Then it hit me. Her office. For the last few months, she'd been insisting on keeping it locked. She said she was working on a huge wedding surprise for me in there and didn't want me to see it. She said it was where she was storing all the decor and favors. It sounded so romantic at the time. Now it sounded sinister. For 2 days, I stewed. I felt like I was losing my mind. Was I being gaslit? Was I the crazy one? I had to know. I knew she kept a spare key to her office in her jewelry box. I felt like a scumbag doing it, but I had to. One afternoon, when she was out at her final dress fitting, I went into our bedroom. My hands were shaking. I found the little silver key. I walked to her office door. I stood there for a full minute, my forehead pressed against the wood, praying. Asterisk, please, let it be wedding stuff. Please let me be wrong. Please don't let this be what I think it is. Asterisk. I put the key in the lock. It turned. I pushed the door open, and the world fell out from under me. It wasn't an office anymore. It was a nursery. And it wasn't just a nursery in progress. It was done. Finished. Perfect. The walls were painted a soft, gender-neutral yellow. In the center of the room stood a beautiful, expensive-looking white wooden crib with a little mobile of smiling stars and moons hanging over it. Across the room was a matching changing table, fully stocked with diapers and wipes. There was a plush rocking chair in the corner with a knitted blanket draped over it. A bookshelf was filled with children's books. And the closet was full of tiny, adorable baby clothes. Onesies, little socks, tiny little hats. I sank to my knees in the doorway. It wasn't anger I felt at first. It was this profound, soul-crushing sadness. This wasn't a change of heart. This was a plan. A long, calculated, deceptive plan. The charges on the credit card, the locked door, the lies, the gaslighting, it all clicked into place. She hadn't been planning a life with me. She had been building a life she wanted, and I was just a component she assumed she could manipulate into place. She didn't want a child-free life. She wanted a baby, and she was willing to lie, cheat, and trap me to get one. She thought that once we were married, once this room was revealed, I'd just, what? Give in. Oh well, you got me. Let's have a baby. The sadness lasted for about 10 minutes. Then came the rage. A pure, white-hot rage I have never felt before in my life. I walked out of that room, locked the door, and put the key back. I sat on the couch and waited for her to come home. I didn't confront her. What was the point? More lies? More fake tears? More manipulation? No. An act of deception this monumental didn't deserve a quiet, respectful conversation. It deserved to be blown up. It deserved to be exposed on the same scale as the commitment she was about to falsely make. For the next 3 weeks, I was the best fiancé in the world. I was loving, attentive, and supportive. I talked about our honeymoon. I helped with the final seating charts. I smiled and nodded through the rehearsal dinner as her parents talked about how happy they were. And all the while, I was planning. I called the venue manager and the wedding planner and arranged to pay for everything in full from my own personal account before the ceremony. I made sure that financially, the vendors would be fine, because this wasn't their fault. Which brings us back to the altar. As the silence in the chapel stretched on, Sarah finally found her voice. What are you talking about?" she stammered, her face a mask of disbelief. "You're joking, right? This is some kind of horrible, sick joke? Am I, Sarah?" I asked, my voice echoing slightly in the microphone Father Michael was still holding. "Am I joking? Or have you been lying to me, to everyone, for months?" "For years." Brenda, her mother, shot up from the front row. "What is the meaning of this? You stop this right now. You are humiliating my daughter." "Humiliating her?" I let out a short, bitter laugh. "You want to talk about humiliation? How about we talk about deception? How about you tell everyone, Brenda, since you were clearly in on it, about the nursery, the one in our house, the one that's been secretly prepared for the baby that I have told your daughter, since our very first date, that I would never have." Sarah started to sob. Not the manipulative tears I'd seen before, but real, ugly sobs of someone who has been caught. "I was going to tell you," she cried. "After the honeymoon. I thought you'd change your mind. I thought you'd see how beautiful it was, and you'd change your mind. You thought you could trap me." I corrected her, my voice rising. "You thought you could lie to me, day in and day out. Let me stand here and make vows in front of God and everyone we love, and then spring a baby on me? That's not love, Sarah. That's not a partnership. That is the most selfish, most manipulative, and most deeply dishonest thing I have ever encountered in my life." I looked out at the crowd. My parents looked horrified. Her father, a good man who I genuinely liked, looked utterly bewildered and heartbroken. He was looking from me to his wife and daughter, and I could see the dawning realization on his face that he'd been kept in the dark, too. I cannot, and I will not marry someone who would build our entire future on a lie of this magnitude," I said, my voice finally breaking with the emotion of it all. "So no, I'm sorry, everyone. The wedding is off." I turned to Sarah's father. "I'm so sorry, Tom. You're a good man, and you didn't deserve this." Then I looked at the stunned crowd. "To our guests, my apologies for wasting your day. There will be an open bar and food served at the reception hall. Please enjoy it on me. It's all been paid for." And with that, I set the microphone down on the altar, turned around, and walked straight down that aisle and out the chapel doors. I didn't look back. The aftermath was exactly as messy as you'd imagine. My phone exploded. My family and friends rallied around me, shocked at first, but completely supportive once they understood the depth of the betrayal. My best man, my brother, was the first one to meet me outside. He just grabbed me in a hug and said, "I am so proud of you. That was the bravest thing I've ever seen." Sarah's dad called me the next day. He apologized profusely, saying he had no idea and that he and Brenda were having a long overdue discussion about her manipulative behavior. He told me I was a good man and that he was sorry his daughter had hurt me so badly. That call meant a lot. Brenda and Sarah, of course, launched a smear campaign. They told everyone I was a monster, a sociopath who planned the whole thing just to publicly humiliate Sarah. Some people on her side of the family believed it. I didn't care. The people who mattered knew the truth. Untangling our lives was hell. I moved out that same day. We had to sell the house. Dividing 5 years of a shared life is a brutal process. But with every box I packed, I felt a little lighter. The pain was immense, like losing a limb, but underneath it was a bedrock of relief. I had dodged a bullet the size of a cannonball. I had saved myself from a life of resentment, of being a father when I never wanted to be one, of being married to a woman I could never, ever trust again. So yeah, that's the story of how I canceled my own wedding at the altar. It sounds like something out of a daytime soap opera, I know, but it taught me the most valuable lesson of my life. When your gut is screaming at you that something is wrong, for the love of God, listen to it. The biggest red flags are the ones we desperately try to convince ourselves are just